Today we have a 425 random facts compilation that will blow your mind.
Male platypuses have a fascinating genetic quirk. They possess 10 sex chromosomes, 5X and 5Y, unlike most mammals. A surprising number of farmed salmon are partially deaf. The culprit is often vaterite, a deformity that can impair hearing by up to 50%, and is much more common in farmed fish than in wild salmon. Voyager 1 is currently located approximately 24.9 million kilometers, or 15.5 million miles away from Earth. Due to this immense distance, it takes about 23 hours and 9 minutes for a signal traveling at the speed of light to reach the spacecraft. In 1990, Voyager 1 captured the iconic pale blue dot image as part of a series of photos of our solar system. The camera was later turned off to conserve power for the long journey ahead. The golden circle on Portugal's flag is an armillary sphere, a nod to the country's seafaring past. It's not just a navigation tool, it's a symbol of Portugal's bold exploration and global impact during the Age of Discoveries. Linguistic and genetic evidence shows that Madagascar's first inhabitants came from Indonesia, not Africa, a finding supported by ocean current patterns. Dinosaurs are categorized by hip structure: bird-hipped, ornithischians, like the Triceratops, and lizard-hipped, saurischians, like the T-Rex. Ironically, birds actually evolved from the lizard-hipped group, even though it might seem counterintuitive. SCUBA stands for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, basically, the gear that lets you breathe underwater. The coconut crab is a terrestrial hermit crab, and it's the largest land-living arthropod in the world. The young coconut crabs use shells for protection, like typical hermit crabs, but adults develop a hardened exoskeleton and no longer need a shell. Cambodia, Thailand, and Myanmar lead the pack with the world's highest Buddhist populations, 97%, 95%, and 90% respectively. A deck of cards might secretly mirror the calendar: 52 cards for weeks, 4 suits for seasons, and 13 cards per suit for lunar cycles. Add the card values, and you get 364. Throw in a joker for 365, and a second for leap years. Coincidence? Probably. Playing cards predate the Gregorian calendar, so it's unlikely they were designed as a hidden calendar. Still, it's fun to think about. The Wieliczka salt mine in Poland is a marvel. It churned out table salt for over 700 years until 1996. Now a UNESCO site, it's a subterranean art gallery with chapels, statues, and chandeliers, all carved from salt. A true underground masterpiece. Saudi Arabia has no permanent rivers, but it does have wadis, riverbeds that flow intermittently after rainfall. They also import approximately 80% of its food due to its desert climate and limited agricultural land. Purple became the color of royalty because of snails. Yes, snails. Ancient Romans made Tyrian purple dye from murex snail mucus, and it took 12,000 snails to produce just 1 gram. Speaking of purple, BASF, also known as Baden Aniline and Soda Factory, the world's largest chemical producer, began its operations with the production of aniline dyes, including those used to create purple and other colors, revolutionizing the textile industry. Flamingos are incredibly tough. They thrive in water as hot as 140 Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius, and in water so alkaline it would burn human skin. They can even drink near boiling water. And yet, they can also survive in cold climates as long as they have access to unfrozen water for food. Some flamingo species even make their homes near active volcanoes. Great white sharks, usually lone coastal hunters, make an epic journey to the White Shark Cafe, a remote spot in the Pacific. Some travel over 100 days to get there, then dive deep up to 3,000 feet over and over. Why? Scientists are still figuring it out, but it's one of the ocean's coolest mysteries. July 24, 2025 will be a Pythagorean day, meaning they satisfy the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. In this case, 7 squared plus 24 squared equals 25 squared. And don't worry about the date format due to the commutative property of addition. The odds of a birth at 12:01 a.m. on January 1st are about 1 in 525,600, assuming, of course, that births are evenly distributed throughout the year. However, births aren't perfectly even, so this is still a rough estimate. Blue whales consume a staggering 50 million calories daily. That's like eating 80,000 Big Macs, while a typical adult might consume around 2,000 calories. Alaska dominates the U.S. mountain game. All 10 of the country's tallest peaks are there, led by Denali, officially known as Mount McKinley, with a summit elevation of 20,310 feet or 6,190 meters above sea level. The British pound's history stretches back to Anglo-Saxon England, where it originated as a unit representing a pound of silver, making it one of the world's oldest currencies still in use. The Rialto Bridge, a Venice landmark since 1591, faces structural challenges due to the city's foundation and frequent flooding, necessitating ongoing restoration. The ISS circles the Earth every 90 minutes. That's 16 orbits a day. The Queen Alexandra's birdwing reigns supreme as the world's largest butterfly, with a wingspan that can exceed 30 centimeters or a foot. The density of a cloud is typically around 1.3 kilograms per cubic meter, or about 0.081 pounds per cubic foot. Because of their sensitivity to environmental changes, salamanders are studied by scientists as bioindicators. Declines in salamander populations can signal broader ecosystem problems, including the impact of pollution. The pigment sepia was originally obtained from the ink sac of the cuttlefish, particularly from the species Sepia officinalis. This natural pigment, with its rich brown hue, was widely used in art and writing before the advent of synthetic dyes. Ermine is the fur of the stoat, Mustela erminea, a small mammal in the weasel family. In colder climates, the stoat's coat turns pure white during winter, and this white fur, known as ermine, has been highly prized throughout history, particularly for use in royal garments and ceremonial attire. Balanophobia is the fear of needles, pins, or other sharp pointed objects, derived from the Greek word balon, meaning needle. Pigeons are generally monogamous, forming strong pair bonds that usually last a lifetime. They can live for up to 20 years. Ireland is famously snake-free, meaning there are no native snake populations. Occasional sightings of snakes likely represent accidental introductions, not established breeding colonies. Ireland's lack of native snakes is due to timing. Rising sea levels isolated Ireland before snakes could colonize after the last ice age, unlike Britain. Opossums play a helpful role in tick control, consuming large numbers of these pests. The highest capital city in the world is La Paz, Bolivia, sitting at an elevation of approximately 3,650 meters or 11,975 feet above sea level. Ceres is the largest known asteroid in the solar system. It's so large that it was reclassified as a dwarf planet in 2006. Ceres is located in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Edwin Hubble provided definitive evidence that the Milky Way is just one galaxy among many in the universe. Burkina Faso's capital city is Ouagadougou. In 1800, astronomer William Herschel stumbled upon infrared radiation while experimenting with sunlight. He was measuring the temperature of different colors when he noticed the area beyond red, where there was no visible light, registered the highest temperature. This invisible heat ray, as he initially called it, expanded our understanding of light and laid the foundation for technologies like thermal imaging and remote controls. Asiatic lions do still exist in the wild, but only in India. They are found in and around Gir National Park in the state of Gujarat. Their population is relatively small, and they are classified as endangered. Ever wonder why body hair doesn't grow as long as the hair on your head? It's all about the growth cycle. Body hair sheds much sooner, around 4 months for eyebrows, compared to the 3 to 7 year cycle for scalp hair. Cows have no upper front teeth. They use a dental pad for grazing. Giant Pacific octopuses lay up to 56,000 eggs and then fiercely guard them, often sacrificing their own lives in the process. Most mammals experience goosebumps or piloerection, a reaction to cold, fear, or even aggression. Over the last 71 million years, the Earth's magnetic poles have flipped approximately 171 times. However, these reversals aren't periodic. They occur at irregular intervals. Also, the North Magnetic Pole's current drift is around 55 kilometers per hour, or 34 miles per hour annually. Although identical twins have very similar genetic makeup, their fingerprints are distinct due to the influence of random environmental factors during their time in the womb that affect the final formation of their fingerprints, like blood flow and fetal position. Ciabatta is the Italian bread that translates to slipper bread. It's named for its flat, elongated shape, which resembles a slipper. The pangolin is the world's only mammal sporting a full suit of armor made of scales. Our solar system, along with the Sun, orbits the center of the Milky Way galaxy approximately every 230 million Earth years. This period is known as a galactic year or cosmic year. Given the Sun's age of about 4.6 billion years, it has completed roughly 20 of these galactic orbits. The primary function of xylem in plants is to transport water and dissolved minerals from roots to the rest of the plant. Guido van Rossum created the programming language of Python and released it in 1991, naming it after the British comedy show Monty Python's Flying Circus. The first adhesive postage stamp, known as the penny black, was issued in the UK on May 1, 1840. Of all the continents, Africa has the most countries. San Marino's constitutional tradition is exceptionally old, with key legal documents dating back to 1600, making it a strong contender for the title of oldest surviving written constitution. Pencil grading varies internationally. In the US, a numeric scale, ranging from softer, darker marking pencils like number 1 to harder, lighter ones, is common, with the number 2 pencil being the standard for everyday use. Internationally, the HB scale is used, ranging from 9H lightest to 9B darkest. A number 2 pencil is roughly equivalent to an HB. Skeuomorphism, when modern objects, real or digital, retain features of previous designs even when they aren't functional. Examples include the very tiny handle on maple syrup bottles, faux buckles on shoes, the floppy disk save icon, or the sound of a shutter on a cell phone camera. Masako Nozawa has voiced Goku, as well as his sons Gohan and Goten, in the Dragon Ball franchise since 1986, including all anime series, movies, and video games. She is currently 88 years old. Geysers are rare because they need water, heat, and special underground plumbing made from fractures and chambers in rock. Yellowstone National Park is home to roughly half of the world's geysers. When your mouth is closed and you're relaxed, the main part of your tongue rests against the roof of your mouth. Meerkats get most of the hydration they need from their insect diet, allowing them to survive in the desert. However, they will drink water when available, especially in extreme heat. When you blush, it's not just your face that turns red, your stomach lining blushes too. Blood rushes to both spots thanks to your body's emotional stress response. The youngest picture of yourself is also the oldest picture of yourself. While we call them melons, watermelons are actually a type of berry called a pepo, just like cantaloupes. However, they belong to different genera within the gourd family or the Cucurbitaceae family. The elements that make up our world have a truly cosmic origin. While the lightest elements were formed in the Big Bang, every element heavier than lithium was forged in the core of a star through nuclear fusion. And the heaviest elements, those beyond iron, were created in the cataclysmic explosions of supernovae, scattering these newly formed elements across the universe. Paris has 0 stop signs. Getting around is all about right-of-way rules, traffic lights, and clever city planning. Chlamydia affects a large portion of Australia's koala populations, posing a serious challenge to their long-term survival, though it's not the sole driver of extinction risk. And by the way, the strain of chlamydia that affects koalas is different from the one that infects humans, so the risk of transmission is extremely low. The University of Bologna, established in 1088, holds the distinction of being the oldest university in continuous operation in Europe. Many delivery companies employ a strategy of minimizing left turns to achieve significant fuel savings. This works because left turns in right-hand traffic countries often involve waiting at intersections, which wastes fuel. Minimizing these turns reduces idle time and can also lead to more direct routes. Cuba boasts an impressive literacy rate of over 99%, placing it among the top countries globally in this regard. Approximately 400 cacao beans are needed to produce 1 pound of chocolate. While your body eliminates roughly half the caffeine you consume in about 5 hours, complete removal can take significantly longer, often exceeding 24 hours. While a 16 gigabytes drive might seem small by today's standards, it could hold the equivalent of roughly 240,000 times the data stored on the Voyager spacecraft. Pudus are two species of small South American deer, considered the world's smallest deer. They belong to the genus Pudu and are native to the Andean temperate rainforests of Chile and Argentina. Chiroptology is the scientific study of bats. Kiribati is unique in that it spans all 4 hemispheres, north, south, east, and west. This happens because its 33 atolls and reef islands are spread over a vast area in the Pacific Ocean, crossing both the equator and the 180 degrees meridian. Like humans have a dominant hand, elephants have a favorite tusk. You can tell by which one looks more worn down. The Gambia, the smallest country on mainland Africa, is almost entirely surrounded by Senegal, with the exception of its narrow Atlantic coastline. Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto are the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, famously discovered by Galileo Galilei in 1610. Joshua trees are Mojave Desert icons. They grow almost nowhere else, perfectly adapted to its rugged, high desert vibe. It's actually a type of yucca, not a tree. Botanically speaking, it's closer to an oversized, spiky, tree-shaped shrub than a true tree. They can grow up to 40 feet tall and live for hundreds of years. Another fact is that they rely on a specific moth, the yucca moth, for pollination. Taiwan was historically known as Formosa, a Portuguese name meaning beautiful, given by Portuguese explorers in the 16th century. Sound frequencies above 20,000 Hz are called ultrasonic. Humans can't usually hear them. Stainless steel has to have at least 10.5% chromium to be called stainless steel. Luxembourg is one of the few remaining Grand Duchies in the world, and currently it's the only independent Grand Duchy. Paleobotany is the study of fossilized plants used to understand plant evolution and past environments. In English, 2 is the only prime number without the letter E in its name. NASA's Kepler mission, over its duration, identified over 2,600 exoplanets, making it the most prolific planet-hunting mission to date. Calculus was invented twice in the 1600s by Newton and Leibniz, each working solo. Newton tied it to physics, while Leibniz nailed the mathy symbols. Rum comes from sugarcane, either its byproduct, molasses, or straight-up sugarcane juice, depending on where it's made. Nearly all the world's opals, around 95%, come from Australia. Seals and sea lions belong to the pinniped suborder, a group of semi-aquatic mammals within the larger order Carnivora. The term pinniped comes from the Latin words pinna, wing or fin, and pedis, foot, referring to their flipper-like limbs. Venezuela holds the distinction of being one of the first countries in the world to abolish the death penalty, doing so in 1863. It takes roughly 540 peanuts to make a 12-ounce jar of peanut butter. In early development, all embryos have the potential to become either sex. Nipples, or mammary papillae, form before sex is determined, which is why both men and women have them. Later, if a Y chromosome is present, its SRY gene triggers male development. The United States' first satellite, Explorer 1, was surprisingly lightweight, weighing only about 31 pounds, or approximately 14 kilograms. Nephelococcygia refers specifically to the act of seeing animals or familiar objects in cloud shapes. The sun fuses an astonishing amount of hydrogen, approximately 600 million tons, into helium every second. While most birds mix urine and feces in the cloaca, Some species, like ostriches, have a bladder, though its function differs from that of mammals. In ostriches, the bladder doesn't store liquid waste for long periods. Instead, it temporarily holds urine before it mixes with solid waste. This adaptation may help them conserve water in their dry habitats. The Brazilian wandering spider is known for its potent venom and is considered one of the most dangerous spiders in the world. Its leg span can reach up to 18 centimeters or 7 inches. The name flip-flops is an example of onomatopoeia, as it mimics the sound the sandals make when walking. Emu chicks are primarily cared for by the male emu, not the female. Dinosaurs roamed the earth for an incredible 150 million years, while humans have only existed for a tiny fraction of that time, a mere 0.1%. Laurel forests, or laurisilva, are relic ecosystem. They are found in several locations worldwide, including the Azores and Madeira Islands of Portugal, the Canary Islands of Spain, and parts of Central and South America. These dense, evergreen forests thrive in humid subtropical and oceanic climates. Estimates suggest that around 100 million people served in the armed forces during World War II. Earth is the densest planet in our solar system, with an average density of about 5.52 grams per cubic centimeter. No penguin species lives naturally in the northern hemisphere. Most centenarians are women, accounting for roughly 80 to 85% of people who reach 100 years old. Some studies suggest that upwards of 95 to 97% of all life on Earth is found in the planet's oceans and other aquatic environments. Queen Victoria survived at least 7 assassination attempts during her reign. Oak trees typically begin producing acorns when they are between 20 and 50 years old. It's estimated that the top 1% of musical artists account for a disproportionately large share of music sales revenue, often cited to be around 75 to 80%. Guinness appears black, but it's actually a very dark ruby red. In a double-blind study, neither researchers nor participants know who gets the treatment or placebo until the study ends. This prevents bias. Researchers can't unintentionally influence results, and participants' expectations don't affect outcomes. Placebo effect. Double-blinding ensures more reliable scientific results. If the European Union were a single country, it would be the 7th largest by land area and the 3rd most populous, with approximately 447 million people. Detergents are amphiphilic substances, meaning their molecules have both hydrophilic, water-attracting, and hydrophobic, water-repelling parts. This dual nature allows them to emulsify oils and grease by surrounding nonpolar substances, breaking them into smaller droplets and suspending them in water. Imagine a mammal with only 6 chromosomes. That's the Indian muntjac deer, a fascinating exception to the typical chromosome count in mammals. Atropine, the drug used to dilate pupils, is derived from the belladonna plant, in Latin Atropa belladonna. Belladonna means beautiful woman in Italian, reflecting its historical use as a cosmetic to dilate pupils for a seductive look. Peru's Vinicunca, or rainbow mountain, stuns with its vibrant stripes of turquoise, gold, and lavender. These hues are the result of 14 distinct mineral layers, including iron, copper, and sulfur, exposed by tectonic shifts after the mountain was hidden under ice until 2013. Paresthesia is the name for that annoying numbness and tingling you feel when a limb falls asleep. Did you know coral reefs can influence the weather? They produce a gas that seeds clouds, creating a natural sunscreen to cool the planet. This gas, dimethyl sulfide, comes from a compound called DMSP, and it smells like rotting seaweed. The hydra is a biological marvel. This tiny freshwater polyp exhibits negligible senescence, meaning it doesn't age. Its stem cells provide constant renewal, and it reproduces by budding. Barring external threats, it's essentially immortal. Far out in the North Atlantic, 1,500 kilometers west of mainland Portugal, lies Corvo Island. As the smallest of the Azores and Europe's most isolated island, it's a unique place. With only about 400 residents, Corvo is sparsely populated, and interestingly enough, cows outnumber people. Tasmanian devils have litters of 30 to 40, but with only 4 teats. So the first 4 joeys that make it into the pouch and successfully latch onto a teat will continue to develop, while the rest, sadly, do not survive. Due to its isolation, a third of the plant life on the island of Socotra in Yemen is found nowhere else on the planet. Babirusas, members of the pig family found in the Indonesian islands of Wallacea, are known for their distinctive tusks. If these tusks aren't worn down, they can grow so long they pierce the babirusa's own skull. The gerenuk, also called Waller's gazelle, is a long-necked antelope found in the dry thorn scrub and deserts of East Africa. Its Somali name, meaning giraffe-necked, reflects its distinctive feature. Gerenuks browse on high branches and twigs, often standing on their hind legs to reach food. Walnut trees produce juglone, a toxin that inhibits the growth of many other plants. This helps the walnut tree secure its territory and access to sunlight. Juglone can persist in the soil for years, even after the tree is gone. Zebras in warmer climates tend to have more stripes than those in cooler regions. This is likely related to the role of stripes in thermoregulation, keeping cool, and possibly also in deterring biting insects. A true survivor. The ginkgo tree has existed for over 200 million years, making it a living fossil with no close living relatives. Brachiopods look like clams but aren't related. Around for over 500 million years, they were once much more common. Clams have shells that are mirror images of each other, while brachiopod shells are symmetrical across the top shell. They also differ internally and in shell composition. Matrophagy, the consumption of the mother by her offspring, occurs in some species after the mother has depleted her reserves providing nutrients. This is observed in certain spiders and insects, for example. Crinoids, or sea lilies, are ancient creatures around for about 450 million years. They're related to starfish and sea urchins. Ambarella trichopoda, found only in New Caledonia, is the most primitive living flowering plant, dating back 130 million years. Singapore holds a unique triple identity. It's a city, a state, and an island all at once. Antarctica's internet domain is .aq. Plants are surprisingly sophisticated physicists. During photosynthesis, they leverage quantum superposition to channel energy along multiple paths simultaneously, achieving near-perfect efficiency, a feat scientists are still trying to mimic. Approximately 39 million people are blind globally, and the vast majority, around 80%, have conditions that are preventable or treatable. Ferret derives from the Latin furunculus, meaning little thief, a fitting name for these curious creatures. Despite being a NATO member, Iceland has no standing army. In some cases, male urine can turn a pregnancy test positive. In fact, it may be an indication of testicular cancer. This happens because pregnancy tests detect a hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin. While this hormone is primarily associated with pregnancy in women, it can also be produced by certain types of testicular tumors. The name Tokyo translates directly to Eastern Capital in Japanese. It reflects the city's history as the new capital established in the east of Japan, formerly Edo. Duffel bags are named after Duffel, Belgium, the source of the strong fabric they're made from. At the height of its construction boom, Dubai was home to 20% of the world's cranes. Ever feel like a word is just out of reach? That's logonamnosis, the obsessive search for a forgotten word. Triskaidekaphobia might sound like a mouthful, but it's simply the fear of the number 13. The term Caucasian, originally, was used to categorize human skulls based on physical features, rather than solely skin color. Over time, however, the term has become more closely associated with people of European descent, leading to misunderstandings about its original meaning. Nordlingen, a town in Germany, is uniquely located inside a meteorite impact crater. Spiders are not insects. They belong to a different class of arthropods called arachnida, while insects belong to Insecta, all belonging to same phylum Arthropoda. Arachnids have 8 legs, 2 main body parts, cephalothorax and abdomen, and no antennae or wings. Insects have 6 legs, 3 body parts, head, thorax, abdomen, antennae, and often wings. Fun fact, Minus 40 Celsius equals minus 40 Fahrenheit. With a rate of 10 to 15%, left-handedness is a bit more prevalent in twins compared to the roughly 10% seen in the general population. Torpedoes, the underwater weapons, are named after the electric ray fish, also called a torpedo. Scientists made a remarkable discovery in 2021, the first fossilized dinosaur cloaca. This multi-purpose vent, belonging to a Psittacosaurus, suggests the dinosaur may have used musk glands for attracting mates. Unlike most countries, Nauru functions without a formal capital city. Pelicans, around for about 30 million years, are known for their distinctive beaks and large throat pouches, which have remained largely unchanged. It might surprise you, but FIFA has more member states than the United Nations, because it includes not just independent nations, but also some territories and dependencies. Did you know the diesel engine was originally designed for peanut oil? It's named after its inventor, Rudolf Diesel. Imagine 23.5 tons of ancient plants, compressed and transformed over millennia just to produce a single liter of petrol. Even if all U.S. corn and soybean production were dedicated to biofuels, it would only cover a small fraction of the country's gasoline, 12%, and diesel, 6% needs. It's hard to fathom, but even if you earned $1 per second, it would take you more than 2,900 years to have as much money as Bill Gates. While giraffes are herbivores, they've adapted to nutritional stress by eating bones, a practice called osteophagy, to obtain vital minerals. Alfalfa's remarkable longevity, it can live for 2 decades, is matched by its impressive taproot, which can plunge more than 20 feet into the earth. This deep root system allows the plant to draw up nutrients from well below the topsoil and also plays a crucial role in preventing soil erosion. Urban landscapers sometimes plant only male trees to keep streets clean of seeds and fruit. This practice, known as botanical sexism, can inadvertently worsen seasonal allergies due to increased pollen. At 182 meters tall, the Statue of Unity in India holds the record for the world's tallest statue. Dunbar's number suggests that humans can only comfortably maintain around 150 stable social relationships. This cognitive limit is often described as the number of people you could join for a drink uninvited without feeling embarrassed. Bolides are meteors that are exceptionally bright and often explode, lighting up the sky. Some sharks, like great whites and makos, are perpetual swimmers. They need to keep moving to breathe through ram ventilation. Others, like nurse sharks, can chill on the ocean floor and pump water over their gills. For an amateur golfer, the chances of acing a hole are estimated to be around 1 in 12,000. All the clouds in the sky hold less than 0.01% of Earth's drinkable water. They're not storage tanks, they're nature's delivery system. Contrary to what some might assume, historians do not use a year zero. The transition from BC to AD is direct. 1 BC is followed by 1 AD. Coral reefs are biodiversity hotspots, supporting an estimated 25% of all marine fish species, despite covering less than 1% of the ocean floor. These vibrant ecosystems provide food, shelter, and breeding grounds for countless marine organisms, making them crucial to ocean health. Labor costs in Denmark are dramatically higher than in Bulgaria, 10 times higher in fact, despite both countries being part of the EU. The solidification of Mars's core has led to the near-complete loss of its global magnetic field. This absence of a protective magnetic shield makes the surface environment challenging for life. Despite what sci-fi movies suggest, asteroids in the asteroid belt are spread far apart. The average distance between them is about 1 million kilometers or 600,000 miles. Over vast cosmic timescales, even the Earth-Moon relationship is changing. The Moon is moving away from us at about 1.5 inches a year. This gradual drift will eventually prevent total solar eclipses from occurring, roughly 600 million years from now. Jupiter is heavier than all other planets of our solar system combined. Your brain can store roughly 2.5 petabytes of information. That's equivalent to 3 million hours of TV. To fill it completely, you'd need to watch TV non-stop for about 300 lifetimes. While impressive at 402 kilometers or 249 miles, the London Tube isn't the longest metro system globally. Now, by route length, the Shanghai Metro in China is generally considered the longest metro system in the world by route length. It stretches over 800 kilometers or over 500 miles. And by the number of stations, the New York City subway has the most stations of any metro system, with over 470 stations. France has the most time zones of any country, thanks to its far-flung territories. Russia has the most contiguous time zones within its borders. Interestingly, the word senator has its roots in the Latin senex, which translates to old man. White shark pups face a high mortality rate, with estimates suggesting that as many as 70% may not survive their first year.
Woodrow Wilson is the only president of the United States to have earned a PhD. The Strait of Malacca is the world's busiest shipping lane, handling over 100,000 vessels and 40% of global trade annually as it connects the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Some male mammals, like fruit bats, can lactate. While rare, this phenomenon is linked to hormonal changes and paternal care. Something I found surprising recently: the Egyptian fruit bat, Rusetus aegyptiacus, is the sole fruit bat species in all of Europe, and it's only found on the island of Cyprus. The Japanese flag, or Hinomaru, has undergone subtle changes throughout its history. Until 1999, the red disc representing the sun was positioned slightly off-center, shifted approximately 1% to the left. A standardization law in 1999 officially centered the disc, establishing the precise design used today. The plica semilunaris, that small fold of tissue in the inner corner of your eye, is a vestigial structure, a remnant of a third eyelid or nictitating membrane that our evolutionary ancestors possessed. Despite their bear-like appearance, wolverines belong to the family Mustelidae, which includes weasels, badgers, otters, and ferrets. They are known for their strength and aggressiveness, often taking down prey much larger than themselves. The Eiffel Tower's iconic appearance is maintained through a meticulous repainting process that occurs every 7 years. Each repainting requires approximately 60 tons of paint. The world's largest cashew tree, which is a famous attraction in Parnamirim, Brazil, it's a single cashew tree that covers an area of approximately 8,500 square meters, or about 2.1 acres. Here's a fun fact: this tree is so large because of a genetic mutation that allows its branches to grow outwards and take root, creating what looks like multiple trees from a single plant. The genetics of eye color are surprisingly complex, far beyond the simple Punnett square models often taught in basic biology. So, over 50 different genes contribute to eye color, explaining the wide range of hues we see and the fact that inheritance patterns are much more intricate than previously thought. Early roller skates were quite dangerous, lacking any brakes. It took around a century for the toe stop to be invented, leading to many bumps and bruises for those early skaters. The surprising longevity of whale sharks, over 100 years, was revealed through an unexpected connection to Cold War nuclear testing. By analyzing the growth rings in their vertebrae and locating a distinct spike of radioactive isotopes deposited during nuclear tests, scientists were able to calibrate the growth rate of these rings and accurately determine the age of these gentle giants. Despite his impressive scientific credentials, two-time Nobel laureate Linus Pauling controversially championed high doses of vitamin C as a cure for cancer, a belief he held until his death from prostate cancer, even though it was largely unsupported by the scientific community. The saltwater crocodile, the largest living reptile, can grow to a staggering 23 feet long and weigh over a ton or 2,200 pounds. Adding to their imposing presence, they also possess the most powerful bite ever recorded, crushing down with a force of 3,700 pounds per square inch. Despite their size, cheetahs aren't classified as big cats like lions or tigers. Their unique anatomy, including a fully ossified hyoid bone that allows them to purr, places them in the small cat subfamily, making them essentially very large small cats. The box jellyfish may appear harmless with its translucent cube-shaped bell, but it possesses one of the deadliest venoms in the world. What's even more alarming is that their stinging cells, called nematocysts, can be activated not only by touch but also by chemicals present on the skin of their prey, which can cause them to fire even before direct contact. Fidel Castro was renowned for his marathon speeches. He once captivated the United Nations for 4 hours and 29 minutes in 1960, only to later outdo himself with a staggering 7-hour and 10-minute address at the Communist Party Congress in Havana in 1986. The Earth spins a full 360 degrees in about 24 hours, meaning it turns 15 degrees every hour. This hourly rotation is the basis for global time zones, with each zone spanning roughly 15 degrees of longitude and representing a 1-hour time difference. The term second as a unit of time originates from its historical definition as the second small part of an hour, following the first small part, which we know as the minute. Meerkats have a reputation for being highly aggressive within their own species. Studies have shown that a significant percentage of meerkat deaths, around 20%, are due to infanticide or territorial conflicts with other meerkats. For many years, there had only been one instance of an official sumo championship being held outside of Japan, which took place in London in 1991. However, this is set to change, as London will once again host a prestigious sumo tournament in October 2025, marking only the second time in history that such an event has occurred outside of Japan. The scientific name for sloths, bradypus, meaning slow foot in Greek, perfectly encapsulates their most distinctive trait, their incredibly slow movements. While nearly all mammals share the characteristic of having 7 neck vertebrae, the 3-toed sloth is a remarkable exception. With 9 cervical vertebrae, these sloths possess an extraordinary ability to swivel their heads almost 270 degrees, granting them a panoramic view of their treetop world. Sloths might seem like unusual creatures, but their evolutionary history links them to other fascinating animals like anteaters and armadillos, all of which belong to an ancient group of mammals called Xenarthra, characterized by their unique skeletal structures. Also, they spend up to 90% of their lives hanging upside down, and a study has revealed the secret to their effortless inverted existence. Researchers discovered that sloths have unique internal anchors that keep their organs in place, preventing them from pressing on their lungs and allowing them to breathe freely, even while hanging. They have very little muscle mass. Only 25 to 30% of their bodies are muscle compared to 40 to 45% in most mammals, allowing them to thrive on a low-energy diet and lifestyle. The Mariana Trench is so incredibly deep that if you dropped a pebble into its depths, it would take over an hour to reach the seabed. In a surprising twist of history, Vincent van Gogh painted his iconic masterpiece, The Starry Night, in 1889, the very same year that Fusajiro Yamauchi established Nintendo in Japan, initially as a producer of playing cards. Removing eyebrows from images of familiar faces significantly impairs our ability to recognize them, highlighting the key role these seemingly small features play in our perception of facial identity. Animal populations in Africa are still bouncing back to their former numbers after the devastating impact of rinderpest in the 1800s. This deadly disease, brought over from Europe, nearly wiped out most hoofed animals or ungulates. The loss was so massive that it didn't just change the wildlife, it altered entire ecosystems. The ripple effects of these changes even fueled famines, playing a role in triggering the infamous scramble for Africa. While many people experience an internal monologue or inner voice, research suggests that a substantial portion of the population, perhaps 30 to 50%, may not have this experience, relying instead on other modes of thought such as visual or spatial reasoning. It's a fascinating twist of history that horses, which originally evolved in North America, became extinct on the continent around 10,000 years ago. They were then reintroduced by Spanish explorers in the 1500s, marking a significant turning point in the continent's history and ecology. Achromotrichia, more commonly known as graying or whitening hair, is a natural part of the aging process caused by a decrease in melanin production. The extreme concentration of wealth in the world is such that the combined wealth of the 48 poorest nations can be dwarfed by the fortunes of just the 3 wealthiest individuals, highlighting the vast economic disparities that exist globally. The farthest humans have ever journeyed from Earth was during the Apollo 13 mission, when the astronauts traveled approximately 248,655 miles, or 400,000 kilometers, as they looped around the far side of the moon. This remains the record for human space travel. The Norwegian government pension fund Global, commonly known as the Oil Fund, is one of the world's largest sovereign wealth funds and a significant investor in the global stock market, holding a diverse portfolio of international equities. Sharks have been swimming the Earth's oceans for a staggering 450 million years, a history that far predates Polaris's current role as our North Star. Due to the Earth's axial precession, Polaris only recently became aligned with our north celestial pole. After surgery, the intestines have some degree of inherent ability to organize themselves within the abdominal cavity, aided by muscle contractions called peristalsis and the structural support provided by the mesentery. Male wolves often form strong, lifelong pair bonds with their female partners, and wolf packs are primarily family units. The traditional concept of a rigidly enforced alpha hierarchy has been largely debunked by studies of wild wolf populations, revealing a more complex social structure based on family bonds and cooperative leadership by the breeding pair. Piezoelectricity is a fascinating property of certain materials that allows them to generate electricity when subjected to mechanical stress. This remarkable phenomenon has led to a wide range of applications, from sensors that detect minute changes in pressure to igniters that create sparks for lighting fires or the spark of a normal lighter. Sponges are an incredibly ancient and successful group of animals, with a lineage stretching back over 600 million years. Their relatively simple body plan has remained largely unchanged over vast stretches of time, demonstrating the effectiveness of their filter-feeding lifestyle. While often described as least evolved, it's more accurate to say that sponges have followed a distinct evolutionary path, adapting successfully to their ecological niche. Benford's law reveals a surprising pattern in many large data sets of numbers. The leading digit is far more likely to be a 1 than a 9. This statistical phenomenon has become a valuable tool for detecting fraud, as fabricated data often fails to conform to this natural distribution, making it a potential red flag for those cooking the books. Water is a surprisingly effective radiation shield, particularly against neutron radiation. While dense materials like concrete and lead are commonly used for shielding against other types of radiation, such as gamma rays, water offers superior protection against neutrons due to its high hydrogen content. Despite being closer to the Sun than Neptune, Uranus is surprisingly the coldest planet in our solar system. This is likely due to its unusual axial tilt and lack of internal heat, resulting in frigid temperatures even colder than its more distant neighbor. To overcome Earth's gravitational pull and venture into space, a rocket must achieve escape velocity, a speed of approximately 7 miles per second, more precisely 6.96 miles per second, or 11.2 kilometers per second. Dogs have been banned from Antarctica since 1994 due to fears that they could spread diseases to the native seal population. 99% of all species that have ever inhabited Earth are now extinct, underscoring the continuous cycle of life and loss that has shaped our planet's biodiversity. Angel Falls, cascading down a mountainside in Venezuela's Canema National Park, is the world's highest uninterrupted waterfall. While the ability to wiggle one's ears independently is relatively uncommon, it's estimated that roughly 10 to 20% of people possess this quirky trait. Saturn's North Pole is home to a unique and enormous hexagonal storm, a persistent atmospheric feature with sides longer than the diameter of Earth. Research suggests that consuming beer can make individuals more attractive to mosquitoes, possibly due to increased carbon dioxide exhalation and changes in body odor. Both helium and hydrogen, due to their low atomic weights, are the only elements that can readily escape Earth's gravitational pull and drift into space. As the sun heats the Eiffel Tower, the metal on the sun-facing side expands, causing the structure to lean subtly away from the sun. We don't have wetness detectors in our skin. We figure out something is wet by using our other senses like touch and temperature. Extending approximately 9,000 kilometers or 5,500 miles along South America's western edge, the Andes Mountains form the longest continental mountain range on Earth. Finland has the most saunas per capita in the world, about 2 million for 5.5 million people. Suriname is the smallest independent nation in South America, both in terms of land area and population. Mount Whitney, the highest peak in the continental United States, is located in the Sierra Nevada mountain range in eastern California. Its summit reaches 14,505 feet, or 4,421 meters above sea level. A single Google search uses as much energy as turning on a 60-watt light bulb for 17 seconds. India reigns supreme in the global spice market, producing approximately 75% of the world's spices, with an annual output of around 1.5 million metric tons, far surpassing other producing nations. The average lead pencil can draw a line 35 miles long or 56 kilometers. The terminator is the dynamic line that separates day and night on Earth, a zone of twilight created by the scattering of sunlight in our atmosphere. Greece is often considered to have the longest national anthem in the world. It's called Hymn to Liberty, which has 158 stanzas, though typically only the first two are sung. In its entirety, the anthem would take an impressive 55 minutes to perform. Baobab trees can thrive for more than 2,500 years, making them some of the oldest living organisms on Earth. The Fibonacci sequence is defined as a series of numbers in which each number is the sum of the two preceding numbers, beginning with 0 and 1. During summer months, grizzly bears in Yellowstone climb to high elevation slopes where they feed extensively on army cutworm moths. These moths, which cluster in rocky areas, provide an important source of protein and fat for the bears during this season. The word plumbing comes from the Latin word for lead, plumbum, because the Romans used lead pipes for their water systems. This is also why lead's chemical symbol is Pb. Waterbucks are named for their close association with aquatic habitats, and only the males of this species possess the long, curved horns characteristic of the species. They also possess a unique oily coat secretion that acts as a natural water repellent, aiding in thermoregulation and providing a characteristic musky scent. What appears to be a single star to the naked eye, Polaris, the North Star, is actually a triple star system composed of the supergiant Polaris A and its two smaller companions, Polaris B and the closer Polaris AB. Luxembourg is the first country to implement nationwide free public transportation encompassing buses, trains, and trams for all users. In 1767, Jacob Christian Scheffer designed an early washing machine featuring a rotating agitator, contributing to the development of mechanized laundry devices, though numerous other inventors further advanced the technology in subsequent years. Sea sponges stand apart in the animal kingdom as the only group that lacks a true nervous system, defined by the absence of neurons and a centralized neural structure. The intensive manual labor required to harvest saffron, roughly 75,000 crocus sativus flowers, are needed to produce just 1 pound of the spice, with only 3 stigmas yielded per flower, is the principal factor contributing to its high market value. The telsin is the terminal segment of the body in many arthropods, serving diverse functions such as locomotion in some crustaceans, defense in scorpions, where it forms the stinger, and potentially other roles in extinct groups like trilobites. You have unique bacteria colonies that form a microbial fingerprint. In 1833, the Greenwich Royal Observatory in England installed a time ball on top of its building. The ball would rise up a pole at 12:55 p.m. daily and drop precisely at 1 p.m., allowing observers to set their timepieces accurately. Time balls became fixtures in many coastal towns to aid ships at sea. In 1907, the lowering of a time ball at midnight became part of New York's Times Square New Year's Eve celebration. The word admiral comes from the Arabic phrase Amir al-Bahr, meaning commander of the sea. But it didn't come directly into English. Instead, it was borrowed into medieval Latin, becoming words like amiralis, and then spread into other European languages before becoming admiral in English. So, it has Arabic roots but traveled through Latin first. Tears drain from the eyes through tiny openings called lacrimal puncta in the eyelids. There are two lacrimal punctum, hence the plural puncta. The tears flow through ducts into the nasal cavity, which is why crying can cause a runny nose. Cheetahs exhibit remarkably low genetic diversity due to a severe population bottleneck thousands of years ago when their numbers dwindled to a tiny fraction of their former population, making them highly susceptible to various threats. A notable planetary grouping will occur around the 25th of January 2025, with 6 planets, Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Venus, and Saturn, appearing relatively close together in the sky. These alignments are relatively rare events, and the next similar alignment is expected in 2040. While the index, middle, and thumb are essential for dexterity, the pinky finger, though smaller, plays a crucial role in grip stability and contributes approximately 20 to 30% to overall hand strength. The cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and is divided into 2 hemispheres. Also, it's located at the back of the brain and is responsible for coordination and balance. The Amazon River, stretching over 4,000 miles or 6,400 kilometers, remains without a single bridge spanning its entire length due to its immense width, challenging terrain, shifting riverbanks, relatively low population density, and the substantial cost of construction. Also, the Amazon River's massive freshwater discharge into the Atlantic Ocean creates a zone of significantly reduced salinity extending up to 200 miles or 322 kilometers offshore. Mercury, the planet, experiences temperature changes of over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit between day and night. The average human body has 37.2 trillion cells. Common swifts, or apus apus, a curious name meaning no feet, since they have very short legs. They are renowned for their exceptional aerial abilities, with young birds capable of remaining airborne for 2 to 3 years after fledging before making their first landing to breed. The fear of storms is called astrophobia. It originates from the Greek words astrape, meaning lightning, and phobos, meaning fear. Hyenas, though resembling dogs in some ways, are actually feliforms, more closely related to cats. Their unique family, Hyanidae, places them within the cat-like carnivora suborder, Feliformia, separate from the dog-like Caniformia. The blue dragon, Glaucus atlanticus, is a beautiful and uncommon sea slug known for its vibrant colors and unique adaptations to life in the open ocean. They feed on venomous creatures like the Portuguese man-of-war and then store the stinging cells, nematocysts, of their prey and use them for their own defense. Earwax, or cerumen, possesses antimicrobial properties due to the presence of substances like lysozyme and fatty acids, which help protect the ear canal from bacterial and fungal infections. The United States, China, and Japan are the world's top 3 oil consumers. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, in 2023, the U.S. consumed more oil than China and Japan combined. Conservation biologists use the concept of minimum viable population MVP to estimate the smallest population size a species needs to persist long-term, while a simplified guideline suggested a minimum of 50 individuals to avoid immediate inbreeding problems and 500 to maintain long-term genetic diversity. Modern estimates of MVP consider a wider range of species-specific and environmental factors. Despite being one of the ocean's most iconic and extensively studied predators, great white sharks have managed to keep their mating behavior completely hidden from human observation. Not a single instance of great white shark mating has ever been documented, a remarkable feat for such a large and frequently monitored species. This mystery is particularly striking given humanity's intense fascination with these creatures and their profound impact on our cultural imagination. While we've captured countless images and videos of great whites hunting, breaching, and migrating, this crucial aspect of their life cycle remains veiled in secrecy. Italy has the highest number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the world. The Murray River, Australia's longest river, flows for approximately 2,508 kilometers, 1,558 miles, from the Australian Alps to the Southern Ocean, forming the heart of the Murray-Darling Basin and providing essential water resources for agriculture and communities across southeastern Australia. Herman Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve demonstrates that a significant portion of newly learned information can be forgotten within a month, particularly when learning occurs in large, concentrated sessions without subsequent review. The largest freshwater fish ever recorded is a giant freshwater stingray from Southeast Asia's Mekong River, with the largest documented individual weighing approximately 300 kilograms or 661 pounds and measuring around 4 meters or 13 feet in length. Stingrays deliver venom through one or more modified dermal denticles, or stingers, on their tails. The venom is produced within specialized secretory cells located in grooves along the stinger and released upon penetration. Sharing a cartilaginous skeleton and belonging to the subclass Elasmobranchi, stingrays and sharks are closely related. There are over 220 known species of stingrays. In many stingray species, females exhibit sexual dimorphism by growing larger than males and typically reach sexual maturity at a younger age. While lifespan varies significantly among species, some studies suggest notable differences in longevity between sexes, with females potentially living considerably longer than males in certain cases. Many snail species, particularly those in the Stylometophora order, which includes most land snails, have the remarkable ability to regenerate their eyes. The margays are small, agile wildcats that inhabit the forests of Central and South America. They are highly adapted to an arboreal lifestyle, using their long tails for balance as they navigate the canopy. Primarily nocturnal hunters, they prey on small mammals, birds, and other small animals, and their slow reproductive rate, with females typically producing only one kitten every 1 to 2 years, combined with habitat loss, poses a significant threat to their populations. Male elephants experience a periodic condition called musth, during which their testosterone levels surge to 40 to 60 times their normal levels, accompanied by marked increases in aggression and readily observable physical signs such as swollen temporal glands and urine dribbling. Various sources suggest that the percentage of physical cash, banknotes and coins, in the global money supply is relatively small, often estimated to be around 8 to 10%. This means that over 90% of money is digital. Graphene, a single-atom thick sheet of carbon, is renowned for its exceptional strength-to-weight ratio, being significantly stronger than steel by weight, and its outstanding electrical and thermal conductivity. Magnetic flux density, or in simpler terms, the strength of a magnetic field at a specific point, is measured in Teslas and is named in honor of the renowned inventor Nikola Tesla. The blue whale is recognized as not only the largest animal living today, but also the largest animal known to have ever existed. Hyenas, though resembling dogs in some ways, are actually feliforms, more closely related to cats. Their unique family, Hyenidae, places them within the cat-like carnivora suborder, Feliformia, separate from the dog-like Caniformia. Manatees, also known as sea cows, are gentle giants that can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. These distant relatives of elephants are herbivores and require a substantial daily intake to sustain their large bodies. To maintain their energy levels for swimming in shallow coastal waters, such as those found in Florida, manatees must consume approximately 10% of their body weight in vegetation each day. Ad lib is derived from the Latin phrase ad libitum, which translates to at one's pleasure or as one pleases. While commonly called a cobra, king cobra isn't a true cobra in the strictest sense. This is because it's the sole member of the Ophiophagus genus, unlike true cobras, which belong to the Naja genus. The king cobra earns its regal name from its remarkable ability to kill and consume other snakes, including other cobra species. If you follow contact sports such as soccer, American football, and rugby, you've likely heard of players suffering ACL injuries. ACL is an acronym for anterior cruciate ligament, a common knee injury among athletes in these sports. A zoonotic disease, also known as zoonosis, is an illness that can be transmitted between animals and humans. Well-known examples include rabies, trichinosis, and cat scratch disease. Idiopathic means the cause of a disease or condition is unknown. The name comes from the Greek words idios, meaning one's own or peculiar, and pathos, meaning suffering or disease. So literally, it could be interpreted as a disease of one's own or a peculiar disease, implying that the cause is internal or unknown rather than from an external factor. An atom is the smallest unit of an element that retains all of the chemical properties of that element. The understanding of atomic structure developed over time with contributions from several key scientists. While John Dalton established the concept of atoms, Ernest Rutherford's gold foil experiment provided the crucial evidence for the nuclear model of the atom, with a dense, positively charged nucleus surrounded by orbiting electrons. There are two remaining official repositories of the smallpox virus. The question of whether to destroy the last remaining smallpox samples is a highly debated topic within the scientific community. While the World Health Organization advocates for their retention to facilitate research on potential treatments and countermeasures, some scientists argue that the very existence of these samples presents a risk of accidental release or deliberate misuse, potentially triggering a devastating outbreak. Well-crafted horror films expertly play on our brain's threat response system, tapping into our primal fears and anxieties. By creating a sense of impending doom and using carefully timed shocks, these films trigger a range of physiological reactions, including releasing stress hormones and heightened sensory awareness. This complex interplay of fear and excitement can lead to a uniquely thrilling, albeit sometimes terrifying, experience. The sailfish is widely regarded as one of the fastest fish in the ocean, possessing remarkable adaptations that allow it to achieve bursts of speed estimated at up to 68 miles per hour or 110 kilometers per hour. Modern genetic studies confirm that whales and hippopotamuses are closely related lineages, sharing a relatively recent common ancestor within the artiodactyl group. While the fossil record shows a divergence between these lineages approximately 60 million years ago, significant fossil discoveries of early cetaceans with transitional features provide strong evidence supporting their shared ancestry. The apparent gap in the vitamin sequence between E and K is due to the historical classification of several substances as vitamins F through J, which were subsequently reclassified, found to be non-essential, or incorporated into the vitamin B complex as scientific understanding of nutrition advanced. Neutron stars, among the densest objects in the universe, can spin at extraordinary speeds, with some observed to rotate more than 700 times per second. Did you know that Loch Ness holds more water than all the lakes, rivers, canals, and reservoirs in the whole of England and Wales combined? Contrary to popular belief, the giraffe's long neck likely evolved primarily as an advantage in male-to-male combat, not solely for reaching higher foliage. Venus flytraps can count. They need to be triggered twice within 20 seconds to snap shut, preventing them from wasting energy on raindrops. Avocados contain persin, a fungicidal toxin that is less harmful to humans but can be highly toxic to many other animals, including dogs, cats, birds, and certain livestock. While chameleons are famous for their color-changing abilities, they're not alone in this remarkable trait. Bearded dragons can also change color, using this ability for both temperature regulation and communication. Four-leaf clovers are considered lucky because they're not as common as the typical three-leaf clover, but how rare are they really? There's about one four-leaf clover for every 5,000 three-leaf clovers. Also, four-leaf clovers tend to be found in clusters. Their occurrence is influenced by both genetics and environmental factors. The pineal gland, located deep in the center of the brain, gets its name from the French pineal, or like a pine cone, itself derived from the Latin pinea, pine cone. Since the World Chess Championship began in 1886, the title has been decided by a checkmate only once, which occurred in 1929. Most championship games typically end in resignation when one player realizes defeat is inevitable, rather than playing until actual checkmate. Brazil is the only country to play in every World Cup between 1930 and 2022. Zebras and ostriches frequently graze together in mixed herds, particularly in open savannas and grasslands. Zebras have good eyesight but less acute hearing, while ostriches have excellent eyesight and hearing, but perhaps less developed close-range vision. When one detects a threat, they alert the others, increasing the overall safety of the group. A snail would take approximately 140 hours, nearly 6 days without stopping, to walk 1 kilometer or about 0.62 miles. A tuna can swim up to 64 kilometers or around 40 miles in a single day. There are more than 2,600 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. 20 are dedicated to fictional characters. The deepest point in Loch Ness, 230 meters or 755 feet, is twice the average depth of the North Sea, which is around 90 meters or 295 feet. The La Champ excursion was a significant event in Earth's history. It was a temporary reversal of the planet's magnetic field that occurred around 41,000 years ago. In their native Central American habitat, poinsettias, or Euphorbia pulcherrima, can grow up to 15 feet tall or around 5 meters. Mount Kilimanjaro, located in Tanzania, is the highest mountain in Africa, with its summit reaching an elevation of 5,895 meters or 19,341 feet above sea level. It is not only the highest mountain in Africa, but also the highest freestanding mountain in the world, meaning it is not part of a mountain range. The fear of flowers is called anthophobia. Anthos is the Greek word for flowers. Botanophobia is the fear of plants in general. Androphobia refers to the fear of trees. Ever wonder why so many African flags feature green, yellow, and red? It all goes back to the Ethiopian flag. Ethiopia was one of the few African nations to remain independent during the colonial era, so when other African countries were gaining their independence, they looked to Ethiopia for inspiration, including its flag's colors. The highest mountain in the United Kingdom is in Scotland. Ben Nevis is 4,413 feet, or 1,345 meters tall. In Brazil, 3 out of 5 billionaires made their fortune from beer. Highway 1 in Australia is the longest highway in the world, spanning around 14,500 kilometers or 9,000 miles in total. Of all the 20,000 bee species, only about 800 species actually produce honey. During its lifetime, a honeybee will visit about 20,000 flowers. There are over 20,000 documented bee species. Out of these, the western honeybee is the most populous, and only 600 species are stingless. An anteater, like the giant anteater, is nearly 6 feet long, yet its mouth is only an inch wide. Anteaters don't have teeth. They use their super long tongues to eat bugs, which they crush with their stomach muscles. The electric eel isn't an eel at all. In fact, the electric eel is a type of knife fish, the common term for the order Gymnotiformes, and only earned its name due to the snake-like appearance it shares with eels. Unlike true eels, the electric eel breathes air, lays its eggs in fresh, not ocean water, and has no teeth or dorsal fin. The Dead Sea is around 430 meters or 1,410 feet below sea level. The first ocean to be crossed by an airplane was the Atlantic Ocean. It was also the first ocean to be crossed by a ship. The average depth of the ocean is generally accepted to be around 3,682 meters or approximately 2.3 miles. A year on Mars is 1.8 years on Earth, or 687 days to be exact. However, a Martian day, called a sol, is approximately 24 hours and 39 minutes long. The diameter of Mars is 53% of the Earth's diameter, making it the second smallest planet in the solar system, right after Mercury. The name Pinocchio comes from the Tuscan dialect of Italy. It's derived from pino, meaning pine tree, and the suffix occhio, which is a diminutive form, so roughly translates to little pine. There are 94 naturally occurring chemical elements in the world, and our bodies are made up over 60 of them. These are essential to our makeup, but only 6 of them make up for 99% of us: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. Though carbon is everywhere, even inside of stars, it was not produced by the Big Bang. Instead, carbon atoms are produced by helium atoms, which are fused together during the formation of red giants by dying stars. Dogs have slits on the outside of each nostril, which allow him to exhale without disturbing the scent particles in front of his nose. Breathing out the side slits helps release air while holding scent particles in the nostrils so that a dog isn't as likely to lose a scent. This helps the dog determine where a scent is coming from. The candela is the base unit of luminous intensity in the International System of Units. It measures the power emitted by a light source in a particular direction, weighted by the luminosity function. In simpler terms, the candela measures how bright a light source appears to the human eye from a specific direction. According to NASA, Nuclear power prevented an average of over 1.8 million deaths between 1971 and 2009 as a result of lower air pollution from reduced coal usage. The Dewey Decimal System is a library classification system created by Melville Dewey in 1876. The system allows for books to be added to a library based on their subject matter rather than the order in which they were purchased. The classification number that is assigned to the book makes it possible to find any book and return it to its rightful place on the shelf. Dewey is used in 200,000 libraries across 135 countries. According to the National Watermelon Promotion Board, the ideal watermelon should be about 92% water. The huntsman spider is a species of arachnid that does not build webs. Instead, these large spiders hunt and forage for their meals. They eat insects and other invertebrates, sometimes even treating themselves to the occasional small skink or gecko. Around 3/4 of all robins in Britain, either through being unable to fend or becoming prey, die before their first birthday. The oldest red robin ever recorded was 13 years old. Oceans cover 71% of the Earth's surface, and the oceans hold about 96.5% of all of Earth's water. At water's triple point, where it must be at 32,018 degrees Fahrenheit or 0.01 degrees Celsius and 611,657 pascals, the solid, liquid, and gaseous phases coexist in equilibrium. Any slight change in temperature or pressure shifts it to a single phase. The scientific name for the moose is Alces alces. The repetition of the genus name, like in the previous example in the species name, is called a tautonym. While tautonyms are common in zoological nomenclature, they are not allowed in botanical nomenclature. A leopard never changes its spots. This belief is so popular that it became an idiom, but it's biologically inaccurate. They change their spots as they reach adulthood. The spots become more complex as they age. Hippocrates made an invaluable, yet often overlooked contribution to medicine by emphasizing the importance of maintaining medical records. His insistence that physicians document patient conditions, treatments, and outcomes paved the way for detailed case histories. This practice enabled doctors to learn from previous cases, recognize patterns, and improve their diagnostic and therapeutic methods. In 1884, Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT, was adopted as the international time standard at the Washington Meridian Conference in the USA, despite the fact that Greenwich is a city in England thousands of miles away. Jupiter is the solar system's speed demon when it comes to rotation. Its rapid spin causes the planet to bulge at the equator and flatten at the poles. A full rotation on its axis takes less than 10 Earth hours. There are likely closer to 250 billion pennies in circulation in the United States. This totals approximately 1.38 billion pounds in weight. The idea that classical, ancient Roman, and Greek statues were always white is a misconception. They were originally brightly painted, but the colors have faded over time. Spotted Lake, located in British Columbia, Canada, is a fascinating natural wonder. During the summer months, as the water evaporates, the lake transforms into a mesmerizing display of colorful spots. These spots are actually mineral deposits left behind as the water recedes. Most dung beetles reproduce by burying dung either in a rolled ball or directly under the pile. Often, a male and female work together to create this brood chamber after mating. The female then lays her eggs inside, and the dung provides both food and shelter for the developing larvae. A Laysan albatross named Wisdom laid an egg at age 74, making it the oldest wild bird to ever lay an egg. There are approximately 900 different species of sheep in the world. The eyes of a sheep are placed on its head in such a way that they have a field of vision of around 300 degrees. They can see behind themselves to a large extent without needing to turn their heads significantly. The Dead Sea has a salinity of around 34.2%, which is about 9.6 times saltier than the ocean, which is around 3.5%. An elephant can smell water up to 3 miles or 4.8 kilometers away. The Congo River is the second longest river in Africa. Lake Victoria is Africa's largest lake by area, the world's largest tropical lake, and the world's second largest freshwater lake by surface area. It covers approximately 68,800 square kilometers and is shared by 3 countries, Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. The lifespan of a banyan tree can be over 250 years. Technetium is the first artificially made element. However, technetium does not have one stable isotope. As it was the first artificial element to be added to the periodic table, its name is derived from the Greek word for artificial or man-made. 5 to 10% of the population is stereoblind, also known as stereopsis impairment. A neurological condition called akinetopsia prevents those who suffer from it from perceiving objects in motion. They are able to see stationary objects acutely and normally, but when people or objects move, they experience seeing them as a series of snapshots, or like frames of a movie. Archimedes' principle explains why the water level rises when an object, such as a person entering a bath, displaces a volume of water. When salt dissolves in water, the water level rises, albeit slightly less than the volume of the dry salt added. This occurs because the dissolved salt ions interact with water molecules, causing a slight contraction in the total volume compared to the sum of the volumes of the separate salt and water. In the same vein, if you were to add half of a liter of alcohol into half of a liter of water, you would end up with less than 1 liter of total liquid. It's due to the hydrogen bonding and results in a space optimization that occurs at the molecular level. 3 Olympic Games were held in countries that no longer exist. Those countries are West Germany in 1972, USSR in 1980, and Yugoslavia in 1984. After China, the largest number of sheep can be found in Australia. With many more sheep than humans, there are approximately 100 million of these animals across the country. This also means that Australia is one of the world's leading producers of wool. A sentence that uses every letter in the alphabet is called a pangram. Phrase, "The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog," is one of the most recognizable pangrams, but others include "Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs," and "Crazy Frederick bought many very exquisite opal jewels." 63 countries celebrate their independence from Great Britain or the British Empire. That averages to about 1 every 6 days. Our North Star hasn't always been the same. Because the Earth's axis wobbles a bit, the star we use for navigation at the North Pole shifts over time. Back when the pyramids were being built, it wasn't Polaris. It was a star called Thuban that guided ancient Egyptians. Bats break mammalian norms. Pups are born feet first. They are the only mammals that give birth this way. Cassowaries are ratites, being a group of flightless birds like ostriches and emus, and they are widely considered the most dangerous bird in the world due to their powerful legs and sharp claws. Seals are elite freedivers thanks to 2 superpowers. They have 12% more blood than land mammals of equal size and muscles saturated with myoglobin, an oxygen-binding protein 10 times more concentrated than in humans. The K2 has a long-standing reputation as incredibly deadly, and it used to be said that for every 4 people who reach the top, 1 wouldn't come back. Bonus fact, the first and only winter ascent was in 2021. Many owl species, like barn owls, have offset ear openings, one higher than the other, creating a vertical sound map. This allows pinpointing prey in total darkness. The word oxymoron is itself an oxymoron, from Greek oxy, meaning sharp, and moros is literally foolish or dull. Grasshoppers are ancient survivors. They hopped onto the scene 300 million years ago, predating dinosaurs by 70 million years and grass by over 200 million. These early insects munched on prehistoric foliage like ferns. Sea urchins see the world through 5 primitive eyes, all clustered around their anus. 2 detect light, 3 sense motion, and together they form a bizarre but effective navigation system. Mumbai reigns as India's largest urban metropolis, with over 20.9 million people crammed into its coastal sprawl. Their local trains carry 7.5 million daily riders, more than Norway's entire population. But wait, while Mumbai has a denser urban core, the broader administrative region of Delhi encompasses a larger population with over 30 million people. Getting the shingles shot isn't just about avoiding painful rashes caused by the varicella zoster virus. It could slash dementia odds by 20%, likely by shielding the brain from viral damage. Surprisingly, catnip is 10 times more effective at repelling mosquitoes than DEET. But there's a catch. While its active compound, nepetalactone, works brilliantly in labs, it evaporates quickly outdoors. DEET still wins for longevity, but catnip could inspire safer plant-based repellents. Nuclear reactors have met an unexpected foe: jellyfish. From Sweden to South Korea, massive swarms have clogged cooling systems, forcing plants to shut down. These gelatinous saboteurs drift into intake pipes, proving even cutting-edge tech is no match for nature's blobs. Here's a microscopic marvel. Human red blood cells are the only living cells in your body that completely lack a nucleus. Evolution ditched it to pack in more oxygen-carrying hemoglobin and allows them to squeeze through smaller blood vessels. But nature loves exceptions. Red blood cells from fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds all contain DNA in their nuclei. The smallest and largest cells of the human body are the ones responsible for your very existence. Talking about sperm cell and the egg cell, or the ovum, of course. The Tetris effect isn't just about high scores. It's a real psychological phenomenon where intense focus on an activity starts shaping your thoughts and dreams. In studies, people who played Tetris for hours began visualizing falling blocks in their sleep and even unconsciously arranging real-world objects, like supermarket boxes or city buildings, as if they were in the game. It's a fascinating example of how our brains internalize repetitive tasks, blurring the line between the game and reality. Stretching 2,190 miles or 3,500 kilometers across 14 eastern U.S. states, the Appalachian Trail is a hiker's ultimate endurance test. It's the world's longest path dedicated solely to hiking. Here's a twist in the reptile family tree. Crocodiles, alligators, and birds are all archosaurs, a group dating back to the time of the earliest dinosaurs. While modern crocodilians and dinosaurs, including birds, evolved from a common ancestor, birds branched off directly from dinosaurs. That means your pet cockatoo is actually more closely related to a crocodile than to a lizard, despite their wildly different appearances. This shared ancestry explains why crocodiles and birds both have four-chambered hearts, unlike lizards' three-chambered ones, a relic of their high-metabolism dinosaur ancestors. Some scientists even suggest crocodilians could have been warm-blooded in the distant past. Can you imagine a clam living for over a century and growing as long as 1.2 meters or almost 4 feet? That's the incredible reality of the giant clam. These gentle giants of the coral reefs are truly impressive. If you've ever watched track and field, horse racing, or even baseball, you may have noticed that athletes always run counterclockwise. While this is partly tradition, there's also a biomechanical reason behind it. Since most people are right-handed, their dominant right leg generates more power. So when running counterclockwise, the left leg, controlled by the right brain, stabilizes the body during turns, while the stronger right leg pushes off on the outer curve. This subtle advantage helps maintain speed and balance on oval tracks. The liver wears many hats. It's the body's largest gland, a detox powerhouse, and a biochemical factory rolled into one. Weighing about 3 pounds, it silently performs hundreds of tasks, from filtering toxins to producing bile for digestion. Unlike typical organs, it earns its gland status by secreting bile into ducts. Around 13 cans of Spam are eaten every second worldwide and 3 cans per second in the U.S. Uranus's day has lengthened slightly, but not because the planet is slowing down. Hubble data reveals its magnetic field is lopsided and wobbles, making precise day-length measurements tricky. The 28-second difference? Likely due to better tech catching subtle atmospheric drag. Your kidneys are relentless workhorses. Every day, they sieve 40 gallons of blood, enough to fill a bathtub, yet retain just a quart or two as urine. This demands staggering blood flow. A quarter of your heart's output rushes to them, outpacing even your brain's share. Your left lung is about 10% smaller than the right, with a clever scooped-out space called the cardiac notch to make room for your heart. It's why the right lung has 3 lobes, while the left gets by with 2. Also, your lungs have a hidden superpower. They smell. Special odor-detecting receptors in airway muscles react to bitter compounds, not by registering scents, but by forcing airways to widen or tighten. It's an ancient defense mechanism. Mars played fairy godmother to NASA's Spirit rover in 2005. After months of dust choking its solar panels, a passing dust devil like a cosmic car wash swept the grime away. Power levels nearly doubled overnight, gifting the rover a surprise second wind, pun intended, for exploration. The entertainment landscape has really changed. Gaming's massive revenue of around $184 billion in 2023 completely dwarfs both the movie and music industries. It's also mind-blowing to realize that mobile gaming by itself, generating around $92 billion in 2023, actually brought in more money than the entire global box office for movies that same year. It's commonly believed that camels can go the longest without water, but giraffes actually have them beat. Thanks to the moisture-rich leaves in their diet, giraffes can survive 3 weeks without drinking, about a week longer than camels. This adaptation helps them thrive in arid environments where water sources are scarce. Interestingly, when giraffes do drink, their unique physiology forces them into a vulnerable position, spreading their legs wide to reach the water, leaving them exposed to predators. Your shoes are stealthy billboards. Studies reveal strangers subconsciously scrutinize them first, using treadwear, style, and shine to guess your age, job, and even personality. Funny thing is that in speed dating experiments, 93% of participants recalled shoes more accurately than clothes. Polar bears are the Arctic's ultimate endurance athletes. They swim 10 kilometers per hour or 6.2 miles per hour through freezing seas and roam ice sheets for months. They've been recorded swimming 687 kilometers or 427 miles non-stop over 9 days and trek thousands of kilometers per year across melting ice. Some stars are so unfathomably large that they dwarf our entire solar system. Take Stephenson 218, the current king of known stars. With a radius of 1.5 billion kilometers, it's wider than the distance from the Sun to Jupiter. If it replaced our Sun, its surface would nearly reach Saturn's orbit. Even light would take hours to circle it. These hypergiants are cosmic ticking bombs. They'll eventually explode as supernovae, scattering elements that become future planets and life. Your body sounds the alarm early. When you lose just 1 to 2% of your water content, thirst kicks in. Tokyo's metro is a masterclass in mass transit. Every day, 8.7 million people flow through its turnstiles, more than the population of Switzerland. With near-perfect punctuality and a maze-like 310 kilometers network, it's the circulatory system of the world's largest megacity. In Japan, earning the title of Itamai, or Master Sushi Chef, can take decades, longer than becoming a doctor. When dragonfly romance turns toxic, females pull a horror movie move. They fake their own deaths. By crash diving and lying still, they trick persistent males into abandoning mating attempts, a desperate but smart escape from aggressive suitors. Emperor penguins are the ultimate deep-sea divers, plunging 500 meters or 1,640 feet on a single breath and surviving 20-plus minutes in pitch-black waters. Their secret? A slow-motion metabolism, reinforced bones, and blood that prioritizes brain and heart over all else. The oceans hide 20 million tons of gold, but don't grab your bucket yet. Each liter holds less than a billionth of a gram, and filtering it would cost a fortune. Interestingly, hydrothermal vents do concentrate gold into nuggets, but they're 2.5 kilometers or 1.5 miles deep and guarded by 400 degrees Celsius or 752 degrees Fahrenheit water temps, so they're definitely not easily accessible. Ever noticed how pine cones seem to predict rain? They're nature's little weather forecasters. When humidity rises, a sign of incoming rain, pine cones tighten up to shield their seeds. But on dry, sunny days, they open right back up, ready to let their seeds fly. Contrary to popular belief, pepper seeds aren't what make your mouth burn. It's actually the white, spongy membrane they cling to. This pith, called the placenta, produces nearly all the capsaicin, the compound responsible for heat. Seeds get a bad reputation because they're often coated in the spicy oil, but if you remove them carefully, you'll find they're nearly heat-free. Antipodes, Earth's diametrically opposite points, usually pair land with ocean, but the Pacific is so vast that parts of it mirror themselves. It's the only ocean where this symmetry happens, highlighting just how enormous it truly is. The pupils of the eyes dilate when a sudden, loud sound hits. Your pupils briefly dilate as part of the startle reflex. It's your nervous system's rapid-fire way to sharpen vision for potential threats. Mars hosts the solar system's ultimate canyon, Valles Marineris, a scar so vast it would span from New York to Los Angeles with room to spare, plunge 7 kilometers or 4,350 miles down, deep enough to bury the Alps, and you'd still not hit bottom. The boreal forest is Earth's green crown, a belt of conifers so vast it blankets 11% of all land, from Alaska to Siberia. The title of fog capital goes to Canada's Grand Banks, where mist shrouds the ocean 206 days a year. This eerie spectacle happens when the icy Labrador Current slams into the warm Gulf Stream. Beneath Jupiter's clouds lies an ocean of liquid metallic hydrogen, a form of hydrogen so compressed by the planet's gravity that it flows like molten metal. This exotic fluid, crackling with electric currents, fuels Jupiter's colossal magnetic field. Basil doesn't just sit there, it fights back when touched. Crushing its leaves triggers a fragrant explosion of oils, a built-in alarm system to repel munching insects. For chefs, this means the more you bruise it, the better it tastes. Neptune is the solar system's wind champion. Its supersonic gales scream at 2,100 kilometers per hour, or 1,300 miles per hour, 6 times faster than Earth's worst hurricanes. Unlike storms here, driven by sunlight, Neptune's chaos stems from deep internal heat, whipping methane clouds into a frigid frenzy. Australia's kangaroos aren't just iconic, they're a 50 million strong army, nearly doubling the human population. Galapagos marine iguanas are the only lizards that forage underwater, holding their breath for half an hour while grazing on algae. Giraffes wield 45-centimeter purple tongues like built-in sunblock, melanin-rich and thorn-proof. These prehensile tools strip acacia branches bare while resisting both UV rays and spikes. Chile's Patagonian cypresses are silent time capsules. Some have stood for 3,600 plus years, watching empires rise and fall. Raccoons have 4 times more sensory cells in their paws than most mammals. This allows them to see with their hands and get images of the objects they touch without even looking at them. Thanks for watching. New videos every week. Subscribe to catch them all.